Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Abby with Fitness is Medicine. Today I'm going to do a workout in my home gym here using a couple sets of dumbbells, actually one set and then just one dumbbell. Anyway, so we're going to use a heavier set and then maybe a little bit lighter one. And then I'm also going to use a fit ball. So those are the only two pieces of equipment you need. If you don't have a fit ball, it's okay. The second exercise we're going to do is going to require you to have some sort of ball or maybe even just a pillow. So if you don't have a ball, grab a pillow or maybe a playground ball or a basketball, something like that. And we'll get started. Okay, make sure you warm up before you start. So go ahead and press pause if you have not warmed up. Go for a walk, go for a run, walk up and down your stairs, ride your bike, something like that. Okay, we're going to start with a set of dumbbells and do a bridge chest press. So on your ball, if you have one, otherwise you can lie down on your back with your knees bent and do this same exercise, or you can lie down on a bench, like a workout bench. But use a ball if you do have one. So I want you to walk out to a bridge with your shoulders and head resting on the ball. So you want your feet directly underneath your knees and your hips pressing towards the ceiling so you've got a straight line from your knees to your shoulders. Now we're going to use these dumbbells starting here at your armpits, at your shoulders, and press straight towards the ceiling. So we're working those chest, the front of your shoulders, and your triceps here. And then because we're holding a bridge, you're also working your glutes and your hamstrings, and you're getting a little bit of core to stabilize you here as well. So there's kind of a lot going on when you add things like a bridge on a ball and try to add some extra stabilization. So let's try to do 10 here. If you're hurting, if your shoulder is bothering you with this, bring it in here and press up from here. That should alleviate any shoulder pain you might have, or if you do have any elbow pain, same thing. Another way you can do these is hold one dumbbell like this and press straight up like this. So if you happen to have a really heavy one that you're not sure you can do chest press with, grab it on the ends and do it just like that. Okay, next we're going to grab that ball that you just used. And again, if you don't have a ball, this is where you can grab a playground ball or a pillow or something. I want you to do some fit ball squeezes. So what you're going to do is when you put your hands on the edges, just right on the outsides of the ball, and squeeze. So this is another chest exercise and arms. And the good thing I like about doing this is you can hold it for as little or as long as you feel to get a good workout, to get a good contraction. So I'm going to squeeze it. Importantly, keep your shoulders down away from your ears. We don't want to squeeze and do this. Squeeze that fit ball. We're working your chest and your arms and your forearms. Then another great thing about this fit ball squeeze is you can work your fingertips. So squeeze with your fingertips. You can make sure your thumbs, you can kind of rotate which fingers are pressing at the same time. But you can kind of decide the resistance on this. The harder you press, the harder it is. And really work those fingers. This is a really great hand and finger workout for arthritis or stiff joints, things like that. Working those fingers. So you can also add a little balance by doing it in a tandem if you want to add another layer. Or you could also stand on one foot. There's different ways you can add a layer of difficulty to each of these. All right, good. So I've squeezed it about 10 times. You're probably really feeling it in your chest now, especially after that chest press that we started with. Okay, now we're going to leave your upper body alone and do some standing march kicks. So this is kind of a fun way to get some aggression released, but I actually want you to do it a little bit slowly. So I want you to march up your leg and then kick. So instead of just giving a kick, I really want you to raise that knee and then kick. So this is a little bit more controlled than just standing kicks. I like to call them standing march kicks. So it requires a little more balance. And I want you to stand and keep your torso nice and tall and supported, and not do this movement where you kind of tuck. I don't want you to tuck like that. I want you to keep your back straight and your torso straight, your shoulders down, march, kick. If you need a little extra support with this, stand next to something sturdy. You can use a kitchen chair or a kitchen counter or a sturdy railing of some sort. March, kick. So we're getting some balance, we're getting some hip work. This side that is stabilizing is getting some stabilizing hip work. And we're getting some good quad workout by getting that kick. Stand, kick. Tubby's here to help me again today, as usual. Stand, kick. Let's do one more on each side. All right, good. Now we're gonna lower to the floor. Make sure that I've got you on my, you have me on your screen. Okay, so we're gonna do a bird dog. You can do this on the ball, but I'm gonna demonstrate it on the floor first. So hands beneath your shoulders, shoulders away from your ears as always, knees directly below your hips. Now I want you to reach out with one arm and then back with the opposite leg. So I want a straight line from your fingertips out through your heel. Hold it for a count of 3 to 5, and then switch. Keep breathing through this. If you feel like this is really challenging for you, then start with just your legs. You can hold your legs out, and you still want to keep your back nice and flat. This is a great posterior hip exercise. So we're working your glutes, your posterior hip, some piriformis. If you're able to, add that upper body. If you do have shoulder pain, you can reach a little lower, or you can even just kind of reach up like this. But it's working that whole posterior chain here. So if you are able to, at least pick your hand up and maybe even elevate it here just a little. You don't necessarily have to reach out here if it's causing any shoulder pain. You can just kind of do this. But if you're able to do the whole thing, that's what we should be working towards here. Okay, if you want to try it on your ball, it's the same thing, but you want to get so that your hips are on the ball. You want to keep your head in line with your spine so you're not looking up or looking down like this. And we're going to go like this. So it's the same movement. You're just having to balance a little bit more, having that ball underneath you so that you know, it's going to kind of roll you side to side. The tricky one with this is sometimes it's hard for people to breathe. So that's when doing it on your hands and knees might be a little bit easier. And also if you're having trouble balancing on the ball. So it's just an option if you would like to try that at home. Okay, that's the bird dog. It's a really great balance, posterior chain exercise. Okay, now we're gonna lie down on the floor and do a chest fly and leg lift combination. So I'm gonna grab a little bit lighter dumbbell than we used in the first exercise because we're doing a chest fly, which can be pretty hard. So we're going to lie down on your back, make sure I'm on here, flatten your back to the mat or to the floor, wherever you are. You're gonna take the dumbbell in one hand and put it out straight to one side. And we're going to do a leg lift. Remember, you want to keep your back flat here. Your leg lift, I want you to come up so that your leg here is about equal to your knee that's bent, and then down but not quite touching the floor. So you want to be in this range of motion. Now we're going to add the chest fly. So we're going to fly up on the opposite side that your leg is on. So if you're doing your left leg, you're doing your right arm, and similarly, right leg, left arm. If this bothers your shoulder or your elbow, you can bend your elbow in like this just a little bit, or grab a lighter weight, because this can be taxing on that shoulder if you have too much weight, or on your elbow. So, you can keep that bent arm fly. What's happening here is we're getting some transverse activation here. Getting some core activation. And good. Now we're going to switch sides. So remember, this leg is going to come up equal with this knee and then down, but not quite to the floor. Now the goal is to keep all of this nice and stable so that you're not, you don't want to be substituting and kind of flying through it like that. If you're doing that, then you have too much weight in your hand. Try a step down. Like right now, I have an 8. If that's too much, try a 5. If that's too much, go to 3. The other way you could do it is if you don't have any dumbbells, like I said, you can always use a soup can, water bottles. The other thing is, if this is really challenging, just do body weight, because you're still getting that activation, that transverse activation, activating that core. Breathe all the way through. Let's do 2 more. 10, good, or it's probably more than 10, but that's okay. All right, and we're gonna end with a balance exercise. I don't actually have my cones here, but I'm gonna use some plastic cups. So you probably don't have cones at home either, so you can use things like plastic cups, water bottles, little pillows, lots of different things. So I'm gonna set out my plastic cups here like cones. I have cones in my gym. Tubby is helping me with this today. Move this back a little and see if I can still get it on the camera. Okay. Hi, Tub. You gonna help me? Okay, so I want you to kind of stand in between the 3 cones. So one is in front of you, one's out to the side, and one is to the back. All right, get my camera on here. And we're gonna stand on one foot, and you're gonna tap. So tap the top of the cone or the cup or the pillow or whatever you have. And then you can spread them out to challenge yourself more, depending on where they are, how it's feeling. The goal is to keep touching each cone without stepping down in between. And again, if you're really struggling with balance here, make sure you've got a kitchen chair or a kitchen counter, something stable to hang on to if you do lose your balance. And then of course, if this is that super challenging, put your foot down in between. So you can tap, tap, tap. Try to stay nice and stable. Try not to be staring down at the cones too much here. You want to keep your posture up nice and tall. If you miss them, it's okay. We're going for the spot, not necessarily hitting each cone. I missed it that time, but that's okay. So we're getting a good single leg stance. Your supporting hip here is probably starting to burn. Let's switch sides. So you can kind of time it depending on your level. So instead of doing like 10 on each, you could do 30 seconds. You could work on it and do 5 on each. Tap, tap, tap. Now, be aware if your hip is staying stable like this, or if you happen to be feeling like you're sagging into your hip like this. If that is happening, stand up, recenter, and see if you can hold it all the way through once, and then recenter. Because if those hip stabilizers are weak enough, you're going to have a hard time standing and supporting all the way through. And that's okay, that's another reason to be working on this. But if you do notice that, stop each time, recenter, and then go again. And if you're not sure if you're doing it, you can have somebody in your household watch you and see, or you can do it in front of a mirror. If you have a full length, wardrobe mirror, or you can do it in your bathroom. A bathroom would be a good place to do this because you've got a sink to hold on to, and you can see if you're standing up like this, or if you're starting to sag into your hip like this. So you don't want to do that. That's going to be harder to move, first of all. But second of all, that's hard on that, and that means that you've got some muscle weakness that you need to work on. So in that case, maybe step down in between, do each one, and then recenter. And that's okay, because then you're going, if you keep working on this, you're going to keep getting stronger and getting those supportive muscles working like they should, which will also help you in your gait, which is your walking. It'll help you with your balance and your fall prevention, which is the goal of all of this. Okay, great. That was all the way through the 6 exercises that I had for today. Now go ahead and if you want to make a bigger workout, go do 5 minutes of cardio, come back and do them all again. Do 5 minutes of cardio, do them one more time through. Usually the second time through they feel a little bit easier because your muscles are warmed up. They're attuned to what you're doing. They know what to expect. And then that third set is when you really start to build that muscle. So go ahead and go through them all the way through. If you're anything like me right now, you're gonna have a little bit more time on your hands because things are shutting down. And why not get stronger and improve your immunity and just keep working on bettering yourself. All right, have a great weekend, everybody, and I will see you next time. Keep moving, everybody.